Okay, thank you, everyone. We will start. Thank you for coming. Acknowledgement of country. May I firstly acknowledge the traditional owners of land we meet on today. I humbly pay my respects to the people of the Wiradjuri and Ngunnawal nations, their past, future and emerging elders. I note there is no one in the gallery, and if you're asked to evacuate, the emergency procedure is to exit via the door leading out of the building, directly outside the council chambers, and proceed to the footpath opposite the council chambers and await further instruction. This council meeting is being live streamed, recorded and published in accordance with council's live streaming and council meetings policy. To those present in the gallery today by attending a public, that's not what we're saying, is it? Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live stream and recording. The chair and or general manager have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behaviour and or comments. We have no speakers in the public forum. I have a leave of absence request by Councillor Mayor Ingram and an apology from Councillor Rolls. Someone move that those be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Horton. Seconded, Councillor O'Connor. I won't forget you up there, Greg, I promise. Thank you. If everyone could please stand for the expressions of sympathy. Thank you. A minute's silence to express our sympathy on the passing of Anne Frost, Kim Leslie, Angela Bennett, Magdalene Huntington, Adib Shamadani, Patricia Pringle, Judith Ryan, Elaine Warren, Laura Carroll, Gloria Hacking, Timothy Smith, Matthew Richens, Helena Podgorski, and Matthew Eschbach. Thank you, everybody. Item number 6.1, we have the confirmation of minutes from the last meeting. Do you have someone to move the confirmation of those minutes? Councillor Walker, seconded by Councillor Stadmiller. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. The next item is item 7. There are no disclosures of interest I'm aware of. There is no mayoral minute. There's the mayoral report, which is there.
I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor, I was aware that there may be a declaration of an interest by Councillor Stadmiller. So,
okay. Councillor Stadmiller, what's the nature of that?
I may declare a non-significant, non-pecuniary interest as a board member on the Harden District Bowling Club,
okay.
Who isn't receiving funding,
okay,
as currently stated at this stage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will you'll stay in the chamber, be part of the debate, vote?
I think I'll go option A, make that declaration, stay in the chamber, participate in the debate and vote, but I won't be voting if the Harden District Bowling Club comes into play with any funding.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, we had a confirmation of the ordinary minutes. We do not confirmation of the extraordinary meeting of the 2nd of June.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Someone move the minutes from the extraordinary meeting on the 2nd of June as a true and accurate record. Thanks, Councillor Horton. Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. There's a list of the engagements of the Mayor. It'd be asked that we receive and note those engagements. Would someone move that as well, please? Thanks, Councillor Stadmiller. Seconded, Councillor Armstrong. I'll take that as carried. Item 10.1, the councillor meetings. attended. They're listed there for various councillors. I'll go around the room. Maybe Councillor O'Connor, would you like to list any reports you have?
Thank you, Councillor Wallace. Just tonight's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Connor. Councillor Walker.
Meetings as minted.
Councillor Walker. Councillor Flannery.
Oh, yeah.
Councillor Armstrong.
No, I've got an LEP meeting and the meeting we attended yesterday, which I can't remember what that was.
Assets.
That's
it.
And any other meetings as minuted. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. The activities as listed, I do note that the asset working group meeting was not the 17th of June, but was yesterday, and also meetings as minuted. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stadmiller.
Meetings as minuted. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Horton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I attended 13 meetings and they're listed in the business paper for all to see.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. I had some too, which was the extraordinary meeting on the 2nd of June, the meeting with the LLS on the 7th of June, the 8th of June, I've written September here, 8th of June, the LEP meeting, the 9th of June, the councillor briefing, the 15th of June, the LEP meeting, and yesterday, the 22nd of June, the asset meeting. Today made me realise how busy our mayor is on our behalf. I attended a meeting with the General Manager and the Minister for Agriculture in relation to the LLS travelling stock reserves. I had a meeting at the Young Hospital in relation to domestic violence march, which is slated to occur in late October. I attended, and happily so, the citizenship ceremony prior to this meeting, where there were would have been 8 or 9 people became citizens, which was a great thing, and they had a lot of support. The council chamber was full, and the ordinary meeting tonight, and also this afternoon I met with former Mayor of Young, Jerry Bailey, and he came and saw me about youth and general homelessness in the Young area in any state, and I was aware that Young crisis accommodation is snowed under at the moment, and there's just insufficient accommodation for people. He gave an example of a girl who was 15 years old who isn't actually old enough to get that sort of accommodation, but has been in a motel for 7 weeks. I think although we are a council which doesn't have funding for many of these issues, we can act as a conduit for organisations in the community, and I think maybe through our wellness committee or whatever it's entitled, we ought to be looking into these matters. So something to work on, and soon. Thank you.
Mr. Acting Mayor, could you give us a rundown on the LLS meeting, please?
Okay, yeah, the LLS meeting, we came here on the Monday the 7th, and there were 4 staff from the LLS here, including their general manager. They outlined the position supporting what they intend to do. Since that, there wasn't much flexibility in their response to us when we raised our concerns, but they have subsequently opened up consultation for a period up to, I think, the 4th or the 5th of July. And I don't know whether that was as a result of anything we said or they were going to do it in any event, but I think they have taken heed of the fact that there may be other people who aren't so happy with their what they intend to do. Our meeting with the Minister this morning, he's seeking outcomes, I think, with all due respect, being a politician, if he can get enough people yelling in his ear, he might encourage them to change their mind, but I don't hold out great hope for that either.
I actually wrote to them saying I believe there's a conflict of interest in that they are effectively running a commercial business and are also a control authority for weeds and biodiversity. Was that raised at all?
Yeah, I did. I saw that submission, and I raised that exact point. I don't know how well it was taken on board. I don't think there was a great awareness of actually how these are managed at the moment, let alone what's proposed. So, yeah. Oh, I'm in charge. All right. Someone moved that those reports be accepted. Thanks, Councillor Connor, seconded Councillor Flannery. Those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Does anyone have any submissions for the community recognition scheme? If not, no. We'll move on to item 12.1, the General Manager's report and the distribution of Council's financial assistance / sponsorship funds. There is a recommendation there if someone would like to move that or some alternative of. Move Councillor Horton to a seconder for that. Seconded Councillor Armstrong. I imagine there may be some debate. Councillor Horton, do you wish to speak as the mover?
No, I'm on that committee and I'm in favour of it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Stattmiller.
I'd like to speak against the motion, Mr. Acting Mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to foreshadow another motion if that's possible.
Yes. What would that be?
That would be the removal of point A, the inclusion of point B and C, and point D. I would like to add that the remaining funds be brought back to council as a whole for determination.
So removal of C, was that? Sorry, A was out,
right, yep.
But B was to stay.
A's out, B's to stay.
Yes.
C's to stay in regard to the school books.
Yes.
And the new point of D.
Yes.
The remaining funds in the sponsorship allocation to be brought back to council as a whole to be determined.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Councillor O'Connor.
Is there a list of criteria that accompanies these reports so that, you know, when you're making a judgment on who receives funding and who doesn't receive funding, they have to fit into some sort of criteria? Councillor Horton, you're on the, do you have a list of criteria? Like who's eligible and not eligible?
We do have a list of criteria at these meetings. Most of the people that apply for grants have given a good write-up of why and what they want. The odd one doesn't. We've also given the amount that they were given before, if that was the case. And so we've got a good, we've got a good, if they don't have any support information, well, we normally scrap it.
It's just that when I added it up, there's nearly $149,000 of applications for these community grants. So there's obviously a perceived need in the community for them. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of people have missed out. So I just wondered if there was a list, you know, culling list.
Yeah, that was for 2 grants. I think you find that the stage 2 was about $62,000 worth of grants.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. Does anyone else wish to speak in favour of the motion that was moved?
Question, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Acting Mayor, in question for the main general manager or relevant director. Point A, is there an inference by point A that $26,000 of the available funds will be going to the Boorowa Touch Carnival? And if so, where's the itemisation of that? I note that a reasonable portion of the supposed cost was in mowing and maintenance. Are we therefore saying that some of our general works needs to be funded through grants?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, this was raised by the committee as a way forward to fund the borrowings. You're aware that there was a motion put at an ordinary council meeting where it was approved that the Boorowa touch and netball carnival be supported up to the 26,000, which was the estimate based upon the cost provided by staff. That was up to that amount, and this was a way of which to fund that borrowing. That was a discussion point raised at the this committee meeting, and it's brought to you. This was not a movement from staff. Councillor Armstrong.
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Councillors shouldn't get too upset with point A, in that they have supported a similar resolution the last time this event was held. The resolution adopted by council to support it goes to funding the event by borrowings. Nowhere has council said where it's going to finance the repayments of those borrowings. This is an opportunity to effectively have the repayments there ready to go, as has been done. The funding of those repayments, or meeting the cost of this contribution, has been in the past also met from this same fund. So I don't really see there's anything new here. This is being consistent with the way that you've applied the sponsorship in the past. To deviate from that, I think, would be rather inconsistent with the precedent that council's already set. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Flannery.
Resolution 2195, it's not clear to me where borrowings is mentioned there, other than the fact that we're running a deficit budget. All our activities on that basis are subject to borrowings.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the motion as at the night put from the floor did state it was to be funded by borrowings for that 26,000. That was the motion that was adopted on the evening.
That's not stated in 2195. Oh, sorry, it is. I've read Part D. Yep, sorry, my apologies.
Yep. I think we've had some speakers for and against. Question, Councillor Stadmiller.
I'll just start with a constituent's phone call today asking me to ask whether there was any confusion between the Jugiong Development Group Incorporated and JAG by any of the members on that committee, because they're two separate organisations. If I can just get that clarified by one of the members at the meeting.
I'll need to throw to the committee members. I wasn't aware of any confusion on the day.
My question is, were the members that were deciding on where that money would be allocated from that meeting, were they aware that they're separate and they're not the same organisation? And I'd like to make a statement after that, if that's all right.
That might be a matter for the organisation itself, Councillor Stadmiller. I don't know that anyone here can necessarily answer that. I think we'll continue on with the for and against speakers to this motion. We've had aside a lot of questions. We've had one of each. Is anyone else wish to speak for the motion?
Yeah, I'll just follow up by saying the councillors involved with Councillor Rolls, Councillor Armstrong and myself, and we went into it thoroughly. We didn't just vote for this or vote for that haphazardly. And everybody that was given money, in my view, and the other two councillors' view, they were worthy. The ones that didn't get it either didn't have documentation to support their agenda, or they'd been given money maybe in the past, in the round one, or we felt that some of the clubs have got poker machines and gambling. They make plenty of money, so they put their hands out. I know they're Borough, there were 10 clubs from memory, eight clubs that sub clubs of the club of the ex-servicemen. And little kids, opportunity to help kids, that was terrific, and we support that fully. So it wasn't gone into lightly, and the final resolutions that are there, I believe, are spot on.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. We'll take that as the right of reply. I'd like to put that motion to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Manchester, Flannery, Wallace,
For.
Armstrong.
For. I thought you said against. No, for.
All right, so Manchester, you're not for, you're against. So Flannery, Wallace, Gordon, Armstrong for, those against.
Those against.
Against. Walker, Manchester, O'Connor, Stadmiller. It's the casting vote, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, well, there's no surprise there. I think we have to trust these committees once we appoint them. I mean, we can question what they've done, but I think we need to put some faith in the prudence of what they've done. So I'll be supporting the motion, and it's carried. Moving on, item 12.2 is the cash and investment report. There's a recommendation there to receive the statement. Do I have someone to move that? Councillor Stadtmiller, seconded Councillor Horton. All those in favour? I think that's unanimous.
Just at that junction, your indulgence, Deputy Mayor, the Chief Financial is unwell today, so I will be fielding any questions. Thank you.
I think you may have dodged them.
There are some more finance reports.
Thanks, Mr. General Manager. The next item, 21.114, the outstanding rates, charges and sundry debtors report. Do I have someone to move that report? Councillor Manchester, seconded Councillor O'Connor. And is there any questions? Councillor Flannery.
Just a question to the General Manager in relation to the grants that are a year overdue or more. I think there's 400,000, 450,000 that are 12 months to 2 years overdue, and then 690,000 that are 2 years to 5 years overdue. And then the same for general, there's 120,000 of general income overdue. Could we please be advised of what those grants in particular relate to?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, some of those grants have been recognised as due, but not have been called upon because the work has not been done. We're aware of how much work is being done in that regard, and I'm happy to say recently we received over $1.4 million of grant money that had not been claimed that was due. Whether or not it was recognised in this way, I'm unaware. I'll have to take it on notice under the detail of those grants, because as you're aware, there are multiple grants across multiple time periods. But I can bring a report back detailing the exact nature of those grants, which are significantly aged.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that would be appreciated if we could get the detail of those grants and whether receipt of them is in doubt going forward, given the age of them, and also what the 120,000 that's 5 years from general fund that's out 5 years relates to, please.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor O'Connor, question.
Just a question, thank you. If you look at page 39 on the total rates and other charges, there's 61% overdue by at least a year. Have I read that right? Yeah, 61%. So are we offering any incentive to people who are paying on time? Like, is that a way to try and reduce the number of people who aren't paying on time? Like, if they're at least, like, there's 16% a year overdue, 61% over more than a year. So are we offering any incentives to try and recoup that money as opposed to a debt collector?
I'm sorry. Greater overdue, less than a year is 16, 2 to 3 months is 11 and 28. So there's between
overdue 1 to 2 years is 19.
Yeah, and then 15 and 11.
That's 61%.
No, 39. That's 35%. 46. No.
It's 40, 50,
45,
60%.
45. 45. Yep.
45%.
Yeah, 45.
No, it's not the 16.
It's not the 16, Councillor O'Connor. You added that one in, but is 45%. Unfortunately, in relation to a rate is levied under the legislation, so it cannot be discounted. I myself asked that when I first got a rates notice, and they said you can pay over 4 quarters or pay up front. Why would you pay up front? Because there's no incentive to. You can't do an incentive, you can only penalise for non-payment. You will see that the total outstanding at the 30th of April was 8.6 million, and that's dropped to 5. And of that 5, 1.4 is the not due, so it takes it down to 3.6. So we are heading in the right direction. The processes are in place to recover these money. Still work to do, of course.
Councillor Armstrong, question?
Just an observation, Mr Deputy Mayor. It would be of great use to the community, I think, if the amounts were stated in full. At the moment, we're calling them 8,638 dot or decimal. That's 8.6 million or 5 million. I think for the uninitiated reading this report, it may look far more rosy than in fact it is.
I'm happy to change that on the table. Obviously, it's got the title of the zeros, but I take your point on certainly the 8,600, which is 8.6 million. Thank you, Councillor Armstrong.
Particularly on 40.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. To the General Manager, we might be heading in the right direction, but I think we need to go a lot harder. We've got over 2 years with rates 15%, and over 5 years 11%. Over 5 years, it's over $500,000. Then you look at the water rates, 21% over 2 years, $123,000. The total of the rates and water overdue for 2 years is $651,000. You look at the debtors, 2 to 5 years, $809,000. Now, I was going to ask the question, what are we doing? Well, I understand that we are working on it, and we've got debt collectors. And I'd like to request from our General Manager that councils be supplied with how much money has been retrieved by the debt collectors, and what has that cost been to the council year to date, please.
Thank you, Councillor Horton.
Thank you, Councillor Horton.
Councillor Flannery.
Deputy Mayor, what is involved in getting some asset sales for payment of rates to occur?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, we're investigating that process as we speak in that matter, and we're getting advice on to make sure that we procedurally do that correct. So we are we've started that investigation on how we start that.
When you say you're investigating, so no one on staff knows what's involved?
We're broadly aware, but given the legislative nature that we have to issue due notices, we have to issue it in relation to certain days, we have to allow right of replies, we have to show good faith. We want to make sure that we get it right, and we're not, by some oversight technically, we're wrong-footed. It has been some years since sale of assets has been done, is my understanding. Councillor Armstrong.
I think that's pretty clear to all of us.
Yep.
Surely someone should know what is involved in having asset sales, so that, you know, we're not sitting here on huge amounts of money like this. I think that goes to the heart of why we've got so much outstanding.
I think we're playing a bit of catch up here. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. There are a number of firms that service local government for sale of land for unpaid rates. There are any number of debt collection mercantile agents that are able to provide that advice. I think if we're waiting for council staff to learn, then we might be waiting a lot longer. Let's use the resources that we have available to us. I would remind all councillors that all legal costs, I'll say that again, all legal costs are recoverable in the sale of land for unpaid rates and or legal action for recovery of rates. So council doesn't incur those costs. They come back onto the person that doesn't pay the bill.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Manchester.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Chairman. Yeah, look, I'd certainly back up. I was just going to make that comment that Councillor Armstrong just made, that all legal costs become part of the debt. And the couple of times that I was involved with the sale of undue rates in the Harden Shire, that it certainly did correct some of the overdue or outstanding rates once we had the sales or we advertised the sale, we did get an influx of monies that was outstanding. And I think that's the only way that we're going to aspire. Just putting some debt collector on it, I don't think it helps. But if we do get out there and advertise that these blocks are for sale because of undue rates, it is hard on the people that own the land, but they are the ones that got themselves into those conditions to start off with. So I would think that we need to do this sooner than later. I agree with Councillor Flannery on it, that the only way we're going to get some of these back payments is to move hard and show hardness on it.
Deputy Mayor, thank you, Councillor Manchester. I did recognise that the CFO is unwell. However, she is obviously watching, and she has advised we're using outstanding collections for both the sale of land and debt collection, so it's underway. I was not aware of that till now. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just in consistent with that, I'd like to amend the motion to add a point B, that to read that the sale of any land for unpaid rates commence immediately where legislative requirements have been met. That'll be part of the legislative.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, again, I'm sorry that this is I'm doing it in this way. However, the first listing of properties that are eligible for sale will be finalised on Monday.
Still wish to move the amendment?
That's in my, so I'm just advising you of that.
I still wish to move the amendment.
Okay, do we have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Horton. I'll put the amendment. I don't think we need any further debate. All those in favour of the amendment? Aye. All right. And those against? Walker and Stadmiller. Councillors Walker and Stadmiller. And Armstrong against. The amended motion becomes the motion. All those in favour? All in favour? Councillor Stadmiller against. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to the next item, 12.4 is the public exhibition of the Rye Park Wind Farm deed of variation to the Voluntary Planning Agreement Community Enhancement Fund. And I think, councillors, there's some paperwork that's just appeared on our desk. I might ask one of the relevant staff members to address this item. Director of Planning, thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. The Rye Park Wind Farm, the deed of variation to the voluntary planning agreement, which has been executed by council previously at the meeting held on the 24th of August 2016. There was a state significant, this application is a state significant development application. There was a variation or a modification received by the state for the change to the type of turbine being an increase in height, which meant that there were a reduction of the turbines within the particular site. However, in good faith, the department maintained the actual voluntary planning contribution that was to be received based on that number of original turbines was to be retained, and then that was spread across the pro rata of those, the total amount spread across the three councils being Yass Valley, Upper Lachlan and Hilltops Council. So the change to the Appendix 3 of the SSDA now reads as part of the deed. I'll just refer to which section of the deed. If you refer to 2.1 of the deed clause of the monetary contribution and the change of that, that's in the attachment, sorry, that was handed to you prior. It's the amount of $162,500 and that will commence at the start of the operation of the turbines. Now, there has been a slight increase in the amount council will receive as the CPI was originally indexed from the commencement of operation. This one has been adjusted to commence, the CPI is to commence from June 2011 when the application was approved. There are no other contributions payable. There were no section 94 or section 94A, now known as 711 or 712, permissible to be paid in the conditions. So our only option was to, as per the Appendix 3, is to go through a voluntary planning agreement and the deed's sort of set already as an executed plan.
Thank you, Director. Does someone wish to move the printed motion or some other motion? Councillor O'Connor, second Councillor Walker. There's no debate. I'll just put that motion. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Item 21.116 is the development application statistics for May. Do I have someone to move those?
Excuse me, I'll move it, but I've got a question on one of them.
Moved by Councillor Manchester with a question. Do I have a seconder? Councillor O'Connor, thank you. Councillor Manchester.
Yeah, on DA 2021-0124, an animal boarding establishment on Rhodes Road. I did actually speak to the general manager about this one. I think the general manager mentioned to me that they had to be. I'd like to make sure that this actually comes before council. I think the general manager mentioned that he had to get 4 objections to it before it does go. But unfortunately, this farm's only got about 3 or 4 people that actually join it, but probably 20 people that it affects. And I'd like to see it actually come before council.
Thank you, Councillor Manchester, through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, it can be called before council as per the request of the councillor or mayor. And it's in our notification, it's just 4 submissions. It doesn't actually have to be objections. So even if we receive just 4 submissions, but it has been brought to the attention. We've also been, our notification was also sent not just to neighbouring, it was sent to also an acoustic catchment as well of what we would expect the barking of the dogs to reach. And we also have a database of people who have made objections of the past or compliance issues and raised issues with this particular site. And we've sent notification to those people as well.
Just one question to the director. When you said that the acoustics go out further, what sort of distance does it go out to?
We've done a 500 metre catchment from the boundary. That's what I thought it might have been. But look, this issue actually stems out from where it goes. It travels up a valley from there. 500 metres would probably get to some of the nearby neighbours, but a lot of complaints that I have received are from people that are about 1 kilometre plus from that site.
Thanks, Councillor Manchester. Councillor Armstrong, you had a question.
A question to the director through the general manager in regards to that same development. I've received a number of complaints from residents of that area that the facility is currently operating and has been operating for some while. Can I just have that confirmed that it's been operating and as a result of that, it would have obviously been operating without consent?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Yes, you are correct. There was a compliance issue with the building, which is what is being the development application is for a housing, a boarding centre of dogs. The actual operation out of that, that is yet to be determined and wasn't part of the compliance matter. It is RU1 land. When council staff have gone out to site, the dogs have been identified as working dogs.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I just also add that we can extend the acoustics to 1,000 metres under catchment, so we can make that happen. But your request is now that it comes before council, as the director says, it will now come before council. Councillor Armstrong.
Councillor Stadmiller.
Just through the general manager, can the director confirm if council's aware of any current large-scale breeding going on at that facility or not?
I cannot confirm that I've actually have on file anything of a large-scale breeding facility.
Councillor Armstrong.
Yes, just through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, to the general manager, to the director. Is there an opportunity for council to request both adiabatic as well as acoustic modelling? If certainly the odour issue is one that concerns me, as well as the noise issue. So I think if there was adiabatic modelling available, that would potentially provide council with some better information to make a better considered decision.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if the councillor would like to amend the resolution put forward, we'd be more than welcome. We can take that on board.
I'd like to do that.
So, Councillor Armstrong, would you like to move an amendment to this?
I'd like to move an amendment to include both adiabatic and acoustic modelling out to the maximum.
That would be B as a recommendation.
For DA conditions to
Yes.
the DA under question. Yeah.
Yes.
Councillor Manchester.
Yeah, one question. Is there any difference between a DA as far as a breeding farm is concerned or a boarding kennel? Is there any difference?
Can I stop you there and we'll come to that question? Can I just get a seconder for Councillor Armstrong's amendment? Yeah, Councillor Manchester. Sorry, you repeat your question now that I've stuffed you.
Yeah, just is there any difference between a puppy farm or a breeding farm and a boarding kennel?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, there would be a slight difference for us to take into consideration the hours of operation, but it's all would be permissible on RU1 land, but there are the conditions that we would need to ensure and that there's no adverse impact of a facility located with the neighbours as part of the assessment.
My understanding of this is that it is a breeding farm, not a boarding kennel. Or boarding kennel. It is a breeding farm.
Hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it during this process. Is anyone else want to speak to the amendment? Councillor Flannery.
I'm not speaking to the amendment. Could I be advised of what determines the date of lodgement of a DA?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, we have 2 days administration permissible under the Act, but it is from the date we receive payment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll make the amended motion. The amendment. All those in favour? Do I need to read it out, or I think everyone's aware of it anyway? Yep. Okay. All those in favour?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, could you read it out? I'm struggling to find it. I don't know whether there's a page missing in my.
Yep. So I'll read out part A, which is that council receive and note the reports for development applications and complying development stickers as at 31 May 2021. And B now reads.
That a further for DA 2021 0124, a animatic and acoustic report be provided as part of the development application assessment. Is that correct, Councillor Armstrong?
Adiabatic, the expansion of gases emanating from their odours.
Thank you. All those in
just before we put it, my request for this to be brought back to council, the DA, should that be part of the?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, it doesn't need to be a motion; it's just a request, and then we bring it before irrespective of submissions.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Armstrong, we will say from 1,000 metres from the boundary as part of that assessment.
If that's the maximum, that's the maximum. Thank you.
Yeah. All those in favour? I think we did sort of vote. Yeah, it's unanimous, and that becomes the motion. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, everyone. 21117 is the modification to increase product dispatch at Bald Hill Quarry, BERREMANGRA.
Move the recommendation.
Move Councillor Manchester. Second, Councillor Horton.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Acting Mayor, I'd like to move an amendment to the recommendation.
Amendment, Councillor Flannery.
The amendment, noting the wording that the RMS, for want of a better way of describing them, have put with their conditions in front of condition I, could the words prior to truck movements associated with the development at the site exceeding 96 heavy vehicles be inserted?
You repeat that, sorry. Prior to
could the wording of A and B for the first paragraph be copied over to be the pretext to the wording of I. So I note that where council has inserted conditions, being I, we are not specifying that those conditions occur before the truck movements exceed 96. And for comment, when I consider what's happened at Gaylong, where the development proceeded without the conditions being complied to, I think it's important that we ensure the same doesn't happen here.
Director.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, the 96 trucks is what is permissible now. The actual increase in movement would be 150 trucks.
I'm aware of that, so that's why I'm
Okay.
saying that conditions under I do not occur and that
Until-
they not be allowed to increase the truck movements until all the conditions under I are met.
Yep, certainly. Yep. Yeah.
Someone second that amendment? Yeah, Councillor Horton.
I've got a question.
Yeah,
if I
question,
may.
Councillor Walker.
Are quarries still classified as mines?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, they are. There's depending on what they're quarrying. So there can be minerals licenses or they can be mining licenses. So it does come down to the actual material.
Yeah, an extra part to that then. If it was a mine, as you said it is, do they make some sort of contribution to the upkeep of the roads within the Shire?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, they actually do. The haulage plan of the former Harden does apply to this application.
Councillor Stepnell, a question?
Just question for the director through the general manager. What does the VPA, if there is one that exists, yield for council on average over the years? A ballpark figure would be great.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, we'll actually have to take that on notice, but we can confirm that they have been paying their contributions. I was ensured that they've been paid that. And furthermore, we're actually going to undertake a audit of all the conditions of the former application prior to releasing of the DA consent as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, was there a seconder for that?
There was.
Amendment?
You've got more you want to add?
No, I don't have more that I want to add. Do we need to vote on the amendment now or do we wait until the end? And I do have a couple of other questions.
We'll vote on the amendment. Which I think, is everyone clear on the amendment? I reads the same as A and B at the beginning. Otherwise, it's the same.
Look, as the move of the original motion, I'm happy to include the changes that Councillor Flannery's indicated.
All right. It was a seconder.
Thank you. Just a question for the director. In the drawings as part of the AMBER report, it shows the changes that will have to be made to the road carriageway. I've lost the page now, but I did note it down. The width between the dual carriageway on one of the drawings, I thought was 19 metres. There are B doubles that are 25 metres. Will there be no B doubles of more than 19 metres, or is a truck able to exit the unnamed road and get across to the northbound lane? Or if they can't, it appears to me that the carriageway isn't wide enough for that to occur.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, Transport for New South Wales have noted that there is a required of a widening of part of that road entrance there. I believe from the former, it's a maximum of 19 metres to leave the site, and they've based the turning, exiting and the right turn into it, I believe, with that additional extension of about 1 metre, I believe, in the plans. But I can confirm that further.
Thank you.
No further questions. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you. Next one I have is 118. It's the sports courts at Harden, the modification to remove golf cart garages at the Harden Country Club, East Street, Harden.
Move the recommendation with a question.
Moved, Councillor Manchester, seconded by Councillor O'Connor. Question, Councillor Manchester.
Yeah, look, I've been informed that there is a drainage issue there with these courts. Is that going before this actually this work starts? Is that drainage issue being corrected, or will it be corrected?
Yep, Through you, Deputy Mayor. The application is still under construction. There is also this particular modification. It was for the removal of the cart sheds as per the DA, as they've put in a water tank, and the stormwater management plan and hydraulic design attached as part of this application talks about the capturing of the water of those courts and into that system, and it's all been assessed as that it complies. The matter of water at the rear of the tennis courts along that pavement, as I've mentioned, the works are still under construction, and the road, and they've gone back out on site to fix the construction error that was there at that time. So it should improve. It is being carried out by a private certifier at the moment.
If I may.
Councillor Walker.
Yep. I'm still got concerns with that drainage. I think we all received correspondence from neighbours of drainage issues, and they, with along the lines that even with the completed plan, there would still be drainage issues there. So this new hydraulic plan, does that address those later concerns of the neighbours?
There's probably 2 points of water catchment and in this area. The first one is of the actual tennis courts, which is what the stormwater management plan and the hydraulic plan refers to, of the hardscape surface and capturing that water into the pits and feeding it into the water tank that's there. And that's been actually located on where the original carts were going to go. The issue that's been raised by the residents neighbouring this property has been at the rear of the property where the pathway is, and that is the one that is currently going under construction again. Yeah, to fix it. It was actually levelled the incorrect way. So it was levelled towards the residential properties instead of going back towards the tennis courts.
So it sounds like it's been addressed. Thank you.
Councillor Flannery.
Look, I just am gobsmacked by this report, because everything the residents said was going to happen has happened, and we've got almost no control over it now because it's with a private certifier. I mean, I find the comments in the report offensive to the local residents. Look, no doubt this is a very good facility and will be, you know, a much added improvement to the public tennis courts at Harden. But the comments that council has provided that it's being fixed would seem to me, or the applicant's response, it's being fixed because they need to get the next stage of their DA through. I'm just really gobsmacked by it all. They're doing a stormwater management plan that wasn't done adequately or properly in the first place. I really don't know what to say other than I think it's just appalling and grossly inadequate.
Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just a question through the General Manager to the Director. The stormwater management plan and the use of stormwater, is this supplemental to existing use of stormwater, or is this an entirely new development?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, there was a condition in the consent that they had to provide a water management plan suitable and signed off by a certifier prior to the occupation receiving occupation certificate. So the water storage off and dealing with the hardscape surface. So the water tank itself is now, once it's captured in that water tank, it does direct itself back down into the golf course dam. Does that suitably address the question?
So I guess that means, in layman's speak, that it is new as opposed to what was originally proposed.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, that would be correct, but that would be with any new development that you would actually have new water management systems installed.
Yes, but I guess the point I'm making here is that there's a new source of water that wasn't there in the past, vis-a-vis the storage tank, and you've confirmed that for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Horton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I concur with Councillor Flannery, 100%. I've been up there and inspected the laneway or the drive between the tennis courts and the neighbours. The road, the lane, it looks like granite, but it doesn't lean away from the neighbours' fences. It lanes across and drains the water towards the neighbours. So much so that the fence, the tin fence or the gate of this particular neighbour's property, it's about maybe a foot up the fence, or she can't open the gate. So it's been promised all sorts of things, but nothing seems to be happening, and they're claiming that it's fine, it's good. So, but when you inspect it, it's not. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. Councillor Stadtmiller.
I agree with Councillor Flannery and Councillor Horton on this, and the most scary one is the comment that states the stormwater tank that is now in place that also was not on certified plans is right behind my yard, which I now have no view like I used to, overflowed on a couple of occasions. Having videos of this and photos of the water from the gravel roadway on my phone, I'm not objecting to the water tank, but the ongoing back fence problem needs to be resolved, and not at our expense, as it was fine before these works were taking place. We haven't had a large rain event yet of 100 mils, 150 mils or 200 mils over a weekend. Since this was constructed, we've had 30, 50, 60 mils. So I'm just wondering, as an organisation, what we're going to do if we allow a private certified to tick this off and move ahead. And I think we need to look into it more ourselves.
The General Manager might have a response.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, is the position of council that we are unable to contradict a private certifier, that we're powerless. That is the channel that is available for the public to receive a private certifier if they're so deemed to be qualified to make those judgments. It's not within our ambit to change that.
Thank you, everyone. I think everyone understands the concerns in this one, but we've got a motion on the books. I'll put it. All those in favour?
Manchester, O'Connor, Wallace, Stadtmiller, Armstrong.
And those against?
Against Flannery, Walker, Gordon.
Motion is carried. Thank you. The next, anyone think we live in a council area full of mines? The next one's number 119. It's an application to modify development consent for an extractive industry quarry at Little Range Quarry, CUSAK, should be CK Road, Barwang. Someone like to move that recommendation?
Move it.
Councillor
Once again with the state's question.
Yeah, Manchester, seconded Councillor Horton. Councillor Manchester, a question.
The location of this, it's got it listed as 13.8 kilometres east of Boorowa. It's not east of Boorowa. It's and it's just off the Harden Boorowa Road, actually.
West, so that'd be north.
So it'd be, well, no, it'd be nearly west, actually.
West,
yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Manchester.
Question, if I may.
Question, Councillor Walker.
Same question as before. The offer a contribution to the council for road upkeep?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, the Section 94 plan does apply.
Thank you.
Any other debate on this one? If not, I'll put it. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Was it you for against, Councillor Armstrong? Sorry, I was a bit slow to look at you. It's for. Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have 120. It's the draft Hilltops Council Waste Management and Resource Recovery Strategy. I'll put it. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Flannery, second Councillor Stadtmiller. There's another large document which has the strategy. Any questions or debate? Councillor Walker.
Questions. First of all, on page 15 of the actual document, there's a couple of just typos, spelling errors that probably need to be corrected, and that refers to the spelling of the village names of Bribri and Bendick-Morrell. But my main concern is that we're not looking at a bin service over the whole council area, including the villages. And I think it would be, if we looked at it as that sort of strategy, it would be a lot more practical and economic look at that rather than closing and opening transfer stations and pits and offering different services over a limited period of time.
The director like to comment on the possibility of council-wide bin service?
So through you, Deputy Mayor, the strategy includes for a reassessment of all the services across the council area. We speak of looking at harmonisation of the services. We also speak of looking at the contract and how we manage those contracts. So there is disparity in how the services are delivered, and certainly bins would be one of those options that would be part of the community consultation process once we go out for consultation.
Councillor,
yeah, I'm still a little bit confused. Does that include a bin service to villages, including villages? So all the rubbish comes to one central spot.
Well, that is one of the options that will be looked at when we reassess the landfill sites themselves, the village landfill sites. It is part of the strategy that we have to reassess what they are. Do we still want them? Do we want to convert them to transfer stations, or do we do bin services? So there is a whole element through the implementation of the strategy that we need to look at all the landfill sites, including the cost it's going to take us to rehabilitate them and the financial implications of what we need to be putting aside if we're going to close these landfills. So it is part of the whole picture. If it's not that clear in the strategy, certainly we can have a look at that, but it is definitely part of the strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. I think this has to be seen as a fairly broad document at this point. And yeah. Any other questions or people wish to speak for or against this one? Councillor Armstrong.
Just some questions, Mr. Deputy Mayor. In regard to community consultation, this perhaps has been the most talked about issue for council at each of its village meetings that were conducted over a significant period of time. I'd like to think that as we move forward with the strategy, that we are able to actively engage with our communities to ensure that those communities are partners in this strategy, because without them partnering in the strategy, it's destined to fail. So I think that we need to take the example of the LEP and ensure that we use every opportunity that we can to engage with our community. Secondly, the issue of establishment of reserves to meet costs there. I'd just like to know whether they would be considered to be externally restricted or internally restricted.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I believe they would be internally restricted. I don't believe there's a requirement to externally restrict the waste funds in relation to waste, but I would believe it would be necessary to internally restrict them for the purpose undertaken. But that would be a decision of council, of course. Through you, Deputy Mayor.
I would have thought if we've got EPA obligations and being external.
There is a requirement. I'll pass to the director.
One of the requirements that is part of the legislation is that council needs to make sufficient provision for rehabilitating the landfills once they close them, and that is something that we should be reflecting in our financials.
And through that would make it an external restriction. I retract what I said before. It will be an external restriction based upon that legislation.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that that any reserve that was established wasn't going to be frittered away in the form of cash to pay for an operating deficit.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Flannery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I'd just actually like to congratulate staff for getting this document out. As Councillor Armstrong's noted, it's been long awaited for. I also note that Gaylong introduced a tip service. I wouldn't say there was strong opposition to it before the introduction, but there was certainly uncertainty. But I think most residents, that was probably introduced 2 years before amalgamation, and I think they would welcome it, albeit they weren't looking forward to the cost. I think they've been fairly successful exercise.
Thank you. Councillor Horton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to concur with Councillor Walker and Councillor Armstrong. The villages are very, very important. You drive through them, you see 2 or 3 houses and you think there's only a dog and a cat live there. You have a meeting or a ball or a wedding, you get 200 or 300 people. They just come out of the sticks, out of the woods. So, and they're the ones that are using these roads and trying to get rid of their waste. Kurawatha has a problem with Cowra. They come out and dump rubbish in their bins. Drive all the way, well, not all the way. It's not far to Kurawatha from Cowra, and they dump it in the waste bins. Rugby, a lot of people go along there these days and camp on the grounds next to the hall. They don't put the rubbish in the bins because there aren't any bins there. They just throw it out on the road, on the area. And as Councillor Armstrong pointed out, for 4 years when the amalgamation that started, we visited all these villages, well, pretty well all of them. And there are 2 big complaints: roads and rubbish, disposal of waste. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that. We're going to treat everybody the same. Some have got keys, some don't have keys, some have a rubbish tip. It's just all over the place. So as Councillor Armstrong has pointed out, we need to be concerned about that. We need to be fair. And of course, cost is always the bottom line for anything in council. But we need to do our best, and we need to go back and visit the villages, as Councillor Armstrong pointed out, and give them a report on what we're doing and why we're doing it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Horton. I'm sure the staff have taken on board the need for good consultation on this one. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Next one is 121. It's the works report. I have someone to move it. Thank you, Councillor Walker, and seconded Councillor Manchester. Any questions in relation to that?
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Horton.
Through the Deputy Mayor.
I think we've lost you.
I beg your pardon. I'd like to direct this question to the Director for Infrastructure. 2 days ago, Mr. John Balcom visited my office and was concerned with the road, Gladstone Road. That's the one that runs from Wombat to Back Creek Road, is it, Chris? Yep. And he's a bus driver, and he, 2 bus drivers, apart from yourself, have complained about this. One of the buses nearly ran off the road there in the last week or so because of corrugations. He said 12 months ago, culverts were put in and the road was made pretty good. But nothing's been done to that road for 12 months. And I noticed that on the works report, there's no mention of Black Creek Road. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the Director for Infrastructure. Thank you.
Councillor Horton. Councillor Stadmiller.
I did have a discussion with the General Manager regarding a couple of constituents raising concerns about roads. I note that Heathfield Road is on the works report, 10 Mangaroo. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I'm just not sure whether that's on there or not. And I sent through a photograph of the Gentle Destiny Causeway, which is in great need of repair. And I had a report that a car went off there recently into the creek. So we might need to look at that as well, if that's all right.
Councillor Flannery.
Question for the Director, Mr. Mayor. Certainly all councils received an email and staff about Hopefield Road at Boorowa, which is in a terrible state of disrepair. It's not listed on any of the forward works program. Could we please be advised about what can be done to remediate Hopefield Road? Separately, I asked at not the last council meeting, but the one before, of the work being done on Basham's Lane, the crossing, a substantial upgrade to the crossing on Basham's Lane, which I'm not entirely sure why it occurred. I asked for the costings on that, which I haven't seen yet. And I know there's been significant work to guardrails along many of our roads. Was that grant funding, dollar for dollar funding, and where all that money came from, please? And was it a directive of RMS to upgrade guardrails?
Thank you, Councillor Flannery.
Through the Deputy Mayor, I might just reply to Councillor Flannery's comment just regarding guardrail. If it's on state highway, most of that work has been done under Transport New South Wales guys. So there's been a lot of work done by them. There has been some minor works also completed by staff under contract on the state highway, but there's been a tremendous amount of work done by Transport themselves on the state highways.
Thank you.
I was specifically referring to Mockery Road, which have been doing guardrail work along this last month.
Sorry, through the Deputy Mayor, that would be under the grant funding that we received on the Mockery Road.
Thank you. You still had some questions in relation, I think, Basham's and one other road, was it?
Yes, Basham's Lane and Hopefield. Basham's Lane and then Hopefield Road at Wirral.
So with regards to Hopefield Road, we are going to be doing some work in July and August on that road, so it will be done. And then Basham's Lane, I'm afraid I don't have that information with me. I can come back to that and note that you're looking for costings on that.
Yes, there was substantial work. When I look at the gravel roads that need a lot of money spent on it, I don't know what was ever wrong with the original causeway on Basham's Road, and I mean that quite legitimately. And there's been a whole new crossing put in there. I think staff were there for 3 or 4 weeks. I would have thought $200,000 was spent there.
I'll take that on notice and come back to you, Councillor Flannery.
Thank you, Director. Just one question. Councillor Stadtmiller, Gentle Destiny Causeway. Where do you find that?
That's how it's been described to me. I'll go back into my phone.
It's all right.
I have a picture which I will supply to other councillors.
I just love the name.
Yeah, it is a beautiful name, but the causeway is not so beautiful at this stage.
Thank you, Councillor.
Through the Deputy Mayor, I can assure that is a real road name.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thanks. Yep, some tourist attraction. Okay, excellent. I think we've. Anyone else any questions? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? No, I think he's for. I think it's unanimous. Is that right, Councillor Armstrong? You were for? Yep. Good. Thank you. Moving on, the next item 122 is the action summary report. Someone to move the recommendation to note the status of that, please. Councillor Stadtmiller, second Councillor O'Connor. Any questions in relation to that, Councillor Stadtmiller?
Just with the Kruger Health and Wellness Complex, I believe we were informed that the treadmill part of the hydrotherapy pool was end of life and was in need of replacement. I was wondering whether that has occurred or was part of the $181,000 we're seeking in some sort of agreement with the Kruger Trust.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I did meet with both the Kruger Trust and I have met with the operator. I was seeking for some form of detailed information that the Kruger Trust had asked for around the business. I'm having, let us say, a fulsome conversations about what information I can be provided with and not be provided with. At this stage, I'm going to seek to go back to the Kruger Trust shortly without much more additional information than I went to them in the first case. So I will report back on that, but it is not lost from my agenda.
Thank you. Councillor Stadtmiller, any other questions in relation to this?
Mr Mayor, in relation to item 2190, development of a new lawn cemetery in Young, it's been completed by the looks. I wasn't aware we've got a new lawn cemetery.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Deputy Mayor, sorry. The reason it is completed is that the actions in there have been addressed as I've started to commence the Crown Lands closure and acquisition, well, trying to get that Crown Lands road acquired by council. So the first part is actually recognising it and formally having it in council's ownership. So the actual conditions within those 4 areas have been actioned as and therefore completed, but it is definitely on the work plans of council staff.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would have thought until we finalise it, it's not completed, but I'll be advised.
Step-by-step process. If there are no other questions, I'll put it. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next item is 123. It's media releases and the Office of Local Government Circulars. The recommendations there to note them. We'll move it. Move Councillor Walker, seconded Councillor Armstrong. No questions in relation to that. I'll put that. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Next is 1, 2, 4. It's the National Cherry Festival Committee minutes of the 3rd of May. And there's a recommendation there to receive and note the report and also to accept the nomination. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Walker, seconded Councillor Horton. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 1, 2, 5. It's the Hilltops Council Local Traffic Advisory Committee meeting minutes. The recommendation is to receive and note the minutes and also that all items be recommended be placed on council's action list for activities being undertaken, subject to all conditions being met and work undertaken within council constraints and budget.
Mr. Mayor, can I make an amendment?
Did you just want to put up an alternative motion?
Yep.
Perhaps? Yep, sure.
I'm happy with A and B. I'd just like to add to that a disabled parking placement be put in the closest parking bay to the Kruger Medical Centre door, and that
through you, Deputy Mayor. Unfortunately, you're moving what is in with this agenda. You're talking about a separate item that has not been taken before.
Okay.
The local, so that can be brought back potentially at the next meeting, form part of the next. Like as a suggestion, the councillor statement.
Can I raise that as a suggestion to the committee and agree with what's currently here then?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. So the suggestion is that a disabled parking sticker be placed on the closest bay to the Kruger Centre door. There's a couple of residents in Harden who are quite aged and frail who are having trouble pushing the wheelchairs of their partners up the ramp, and the best way to overcome that is to make the disabled parking bay closest to the door. The second one is representatives from Bunyip Preschool have asked about the possibility of installing a 40-kilometre-per-hour zone along Bylong Street, which would take in that block, because they are noticing that there are a lot of drivers that are going quite quick past the preschool. We have them at high schools and primary schools, but we don't currently have them at Bunyip Preschool and Hard, where the children are more vulnerable and more likely to run out on the road. So something to look at, please.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So as I understand the procedural, Councillor Stanley, you're moving the recommendation as the motion. Separate to that, you're raising 2 questions on notice for us to action.
Yeah, to take to the next.
We will take those, and that will form part of the action summary list in the next meeting, and obviously form part of the representations to the local traffic committee.
Yeah, thank you.
Do I have a seconder for the motion as printed? Yes, Councillor Manchester. Anyone like questions or speak for or against? Yeah, Councillor Stadmiller.
Can I, just a couple of questions, Mr. Mayor, just in relation to all the proposed street closures for the various festivals, for the purposes of clarity, what costing is there around all those closures and what budget do they come out of? So I assume they'll have to be taken on notice. And the motocross, there's no obligations on council with regard to insurances there. It's just a noting that it's occurring.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, a lot of these road closures relate to festivals that are part of the Section 355 committees, and that's where the funding will be coming from. With regards to the motocross, that's a privately held event and the cost will be borne by them.
So could we be advised of what the costings are? When you say 355 committees, that still comes out of council budget, I'm assuming?
Yes, so once the committees meet and put together their budgets, that can be brought back to council.
These things occur and we vote these through on an annual basis. We never see the costings around them.
Just a note there, we actually do see that part of that Burrawa, for instance, Netball Carnival, that the street closures and the traffic control and all that is part of that $26,000. There's about $9,000 in the Kite Festival, I think, is covered by the committee and by some grant funds from council. that the $9,000 is the traffic control and possible road closures. The Cherry Festival is a very similar sort of thing, and the Wool Festival is the similar thing too.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. The Traffic Committee considers the road impact of these events. The actual costings of those events are not something that we present to the Traffic Committee. This is to advise police and other members of the committee what is required when the festival is being held.
I'm aware of that. It's just it came to the attention of council, the cost involved with Borough. I assume the other one's not done for free. So I think we probably need to know what the cost is.
Thank you. Councillor Horton.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. To the best of my knowledge, there is a disabled parking bay close to the door at the Kruger Medical Centre. I'd just like to ask, what was it, Rita? Councillor O'Connor?
Sorry, there's two, but they're at the bottom of the ramp. So what Councillor Stadmiller is saying is that you have to actually push a wheelchair all the way up the ramp to get to the door. So it's quite a distance. Yeah.
Where the door is, there's one.
No, it's not disabled, actually.
No, it isn't, but next to that, disabled.
No.
They're about three down.
Investigation report be done anyway as part of it.
No, it's just at the bottom.
I remember going there one day and I was going quick because of the car park where I wanted to park, and then I discovered it was disabled. I thought.
You should have been right.
I started thinking.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Horton. If there's no other questions in relation to this, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All right, I think it's unanimous. Thank you. 126, committee reports requiring no action. There's a recommendation there to receive and note the minutes of the three committees listed there. Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Horton, any questions in relation to those committee reports, minutes? No, if not, I'll put it. All those in favour? All right, it's unanimous. No questions on notice of motion. So we're going to move into the confidential section of the paper. Have someone move that the recommendation that we're resolving to close council, etc., please. Councillor O'Connor and seconded Councillor Manchester. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. The General Manager might read out the resolutions from closed council.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. Through closed council, the award of report 21/128, award of contract RFT 574 of 2021, arboricultural services. Council resolved, A, receive and note the report on RFT 574 of 2021 arboricultural services. B, award the panel contract number 574 of 2021 to those successful candidates. And then C, delegate authority to the General Manager to execute all necessary documentation associated with this contract. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Do we need to move that? Was it no? That's done.
No, that's done.
Okay, thank you. No, being no further business, I'd like to someone move. We finished. Do we need to move it? No, we just finish it. Okay, shows you how much attention I've been paying all these years. Okay, thank you. The meeting's closed, and I thank everyone for their attendance. Thank you.